Today's topic, journalism. So I think there's a video that I think everybody needs to see.
I'm looking at the journalist Felicia, and she is somebody who has gone through sexual assault herself. And she said that in the Washington Post. She released an article a couple of years ago detailing her experience. So as a journalist, which is not what we do, we are a talk show with opinion.
But you were a
and I was a journalist for 10 years prior to taking this job.
Said.
So as a journalist, it's our job to objectively report the news. I know that would be tough if you're someone who survived sexual assault. But when I'm looking at this story, she didn't give the story any context. And she got upset that she was being attacked on Twitter for tweeting a link that basically was condemning Kobe's character and accusing him of rape. But I think her job as a journalist was to put that in context. You have the responsibility, and you need to have the journalistic acumen to write the full story. Go to the Washington Post and say, this man is a nuanced character. This man has a detailed, layered history that we need to discuss. But don't just tweet that out and be the political reporter for the Washington Post and tweet that and leave it there, because you're leaving yourself open to the attacks that you're now receiving. And so whether or not she should be fired, I think that she should be put on leave like she was. I think it's inappropriate because we're in a time where we don't know what journalism is anymore. We have our president that attacks journalists. We have TMZ that broke the news to Vanessa Bryant that her husband passed away. What are we doing now that we need to look at ourselves, people who call themselves journalists? We have journalists attacking a 7-year-old child, which is Blue Ivy, and we look at them calling out her characteristics. We need to do better altogether as journalists. And I look at this woman and I say it was your responsibility just to do better and give it more time than 2 hours after the man passes away to say what you think about him if it's negative. And, don't hide behind somebody else's article. I stand behind a journalist named Jillian Sheldon. She sat at that Kobe trial for 6 weeks. She followed it in Colorado, in and out, stayed there, interviewed all the lawyers, interviewed the woman who was accusing him. And she said, how can we use someone's worst day on this earth as a referendum on their character in totality? And we can't, because just like Kobe, we all have flaws and we're all layered individuals. And we've seen this story time and time again, too many times when it's a black man and a white woman that's an accuser, when that's the story and it goes down and he just goes and gets convicted by the public jury. And we've seen the story too many times where women who have been sexually assaulted cannot give their voice to the public and are not given the space they need to share their story. So this is a complicated thing to talk about, but I really think that as a journalist, if you're going to take that name and that stance and that dignity of a position, you should probably do it properly and just try to tell the complicated story with as much care as possible. And that goes for everybody involved in this Kobe situation.
Wow.
Who is she? What's her name?
Her name is Lindsey Granger.
Yo, Lindsey. Girl, you murk that with the precision. Ooh, you said everything that had to be said about that. Oh, girl, you was right. Ooh. If I was the one that fucked up and that was my wife talking to me like that, I'd be like, ooh, girl, you're right. Let's have sex. Woo, woo. Wow. That's some powerful, sexy shit. Every point I was made. It's like there's nothing else to say. She said everything that had to be said.
There's times when people nail it so hard.
You ain't got to say.
Normally, we always interject at every point, but I watched that video from start to finish, and I'm like, it echoes the whole sentiment that I have about journalism today. This may be, I'm both sad and grateful. I'm grateful she said what she said, and I'm sad that she's no longer in journalism and she's just doing reporter. Great journalism often goes unrewarded. I remember when the story broke about Epstein. People don't realize just how much journalistic work went into it, the months and the years of research that they went into. And now the only reason you know about Epstein is because of the few journalists who worked on that case incessantly. And you don't even know their names. But they did so much behind the scenes work. And I took the time to appreciate it because I know how much behind the scenes stuff has to happen for a story like that to break on someone that powerful. And so when I see people with journalistic integrity, I just want to say, believe me when I say your work does not go unnoticed. You guys are shaping national dialogue in a way that's super important. And to the people who are not doing a good job, let me also say that we see you. But this and what she's talking about in that work.
We're talking about holding people accountable.
Because you encourage people to reflect. You encourage people to see that the world is not black and white. That when I go to read an article, it's not just going to be some partisan hack stuff based off whatever political views the owner of that publication has. I know it's going to give me a piece that's going to make me reflect and help me to see the humanity in people I disagree with or agree with. And that's what we need. We need people to tell stories in a way that make us see the duality of most human beings. Like she said, Kobe Bryant was a nuanced person. And what most people are so offended by is the black and whiteness. Like, I could recognize that that's a stain on his integrity, but it's not the entirety of his being. What did we say in that video? Present the story as a whole.
The context, the whole context.
And when you don't, you are misleading people, you are misleading conversations, and we don't forget the fact that you lied to us.
There's some things that, are unacceptable in your job, that sometimes there's some errors that you're going to do that's going to cost you your job. If you're a surgeon and you forget like scissors in someone's abdomen and you might lose your job. That is something that's normal. You understand? So, yeah.
And so we want to build our faith in the media corporations. We just need y'all to do better. So I was just so happy when I saw this, and I think it deserves to be shared. So, go hit up, Lindsey Granger on her social medias, show her some love. And that's pretty much all I got. Yeah, it made me happy.
Lindsey.